It's all good and well having this loop grid that we've got here, and we've split it into two. We could copy this loop grid, get rid of the offset, go and stick it on an archive template, even stick it on a separate blog page as well, anywhere we want. And we've got a set layout. That's brilliant. And if we weren't going to use the elemental loop grid, we could of course use the JetEngine listings feature as well. Basically everything we did there we could do here. You can even offset over there as well. There are query tabs for you. It's really simple. Just go through and you'll work it out. It's simple. But what is the point of all of this? Because when we click, is it actually going to take us to give us more details about these sessions or classes, or even tell us more about the trainer? Nothing's going to happen when we click on this button because we've not assigned it to go to the post. So let's go and do that. Click on the button, and where we have the link, I'm going to click the dynamic tags, and then I'm going to click post URL. That is how simple and easy it was. Literally, that's all you got to do. If, however, you wanted the button to go to somewhere else, so you might have a post URL, maybe you got more than one button. You could have like two buttons. You could have one that is see more, and then you could also have another button next door to it that says book now. Maybe you're going to have a separate booking feature or something, like maybe it goes off to another site. Click back on the dynamic tags, scroll down, and you might have another field, a custom field. And if it is set to be a URL, you would then go and pick that. So you don't have to just send it to the post URL. Let's just pop this back to be post URL and then hit save and back. Now when I click on this, it's going to show me more about the sessions. Well, actually, it's not. That's all I'm going to see, the title, because we haven't actually added any of the dynamic fields onto our template at the moment. So let's go and build that out. Back into WordPress, we're going to go over to where it says templates, and I'm going to click saved templates. And then I'm going to click all, just so I can see everything. You can ignore the header, the footer, and default kit. The elemental loop item 183, that is actually the loop grid item that we've used over here. Now, if you were building this with JetEngine listings, your template that you've used for this would be sitting inside of JetEngine listings. But we've gone and done it using Elemental's loop grid. I'm now going to create a new template, and I'm going to go and search for single post. Even though we have got a custom post type, the logic is still the same. So go for single post. Let's give it a name. I've called it sessions single post template because you may have multiple single post templates. Maybe you go and create a separate custom post type, or maybe you're just using the traditional WordPress post. Let's click create template. Now you do get the option to use some pre-built templates, or you may have imported one over, and that's not a bad idea if you want to get used to how to build. I prefer to build from scratch, so I'm going to hit X there. And then I'm going to decide on my layout. Now, there are many ways you could approach this. One is to kind of decide on, is everything going to sit in one container? Is it maybe going to be a parent container with two child containers? So you might have some text here, like the title, the class type, maybe even the cost. Then you got an image, maybe, you know, like the featured image. And then underneath, you're going to show more details. Don't forget, we had information about the trainer. We've got description, we've even got the level, beginner, intermediate, advanced. So there's loads of things we could do. What you could, however, do is cheat as well a little bit. So if we go back over to our home page and we go all the way to the top, I could, if I want, reuse this, couldn't I? I think I could. And I could replace the items with the top hero banner with what is relevant for the actual sessions or the posts or the class. And then I can add further details on below. So I'm going to go and grab this hero banner. We're just going to copy it. Go over to our single post template, and I'm now going to hit paste. So we've just kind of regurgitated something that we had before. Let's now modify the contents of this and make it much more relevant. Let's go and click on the heading. We're going to go to the style. Sorry, not the style. We're going to go to the dynamic tag, and I'm going to go and pick post title. Now, that is going to just say session single post template, because it doesn't actually know what it needs to be pulling back yet. So let's go and change that. Let's go down here to settings, preview settings. We then pick sessions, because that's the post type. And let's go for calm cardio. You can pick any one you want. And let's hit apply and preview. That title will now change, but the image hasn't. We're going to make this all click into place. Let's now click on the container, go to our style, and we have a background image. Let's delete that image. Let's then click the dynamic tag, and we're now going to pick the featured image. The featured image will now come in, and you can see it there. Now, it's not perfectly aligned at the moment because of the height of our hero banner. So let's go and change that. Let's go for a center. That is now looking a whole lot better. Do bear in mind, though, that this hero banner is quite tall. It is 78. And if we start to shrink it down, we're going to start to lose some of the imagery. So you may want to decide on, is this really the best fit for you? I'm going to go with 70 for now. If you feel like the image needs to be seen in its entirety, you could go with a full page, but I think that's overkill when you go to like a single post template. You could also just go for a separate image that you will show over here. And that is what we will do when we get to the trainer image, but we'll handle that in a moment. Let's now change some more of the details. We have a text editor here. I could, if I want, get rid of that, go and click on dynamic tag, scroll down until I get to JetEngine, go and click custom field, and then select type. And it brings back the word cardio. And that's all good and well, because now I can also go and click advanced, and before it I can type class type colon like that. So we're using an elemental field to pull back a JetEngine meta field, but we're also adding in some text before. But what if you didn't want to use the text editor? Like I said, if you have watched the other videos, we could have gone here and typed in dyne to get dynamic field. We can drop that in below. We can then go and pick metadata, and then I'm going to select type. Remember what happens though? You get a callback error. Again, don't worry about this. We scroll down to where we have filter field output, and we're going to set the callback to checkbox field values, and that will now bring back the word cardio. Let's just make it easier to see because the styling's not great there. But can we add the word class type before? Of course we can. We go to customize field output. We have %s. So I'm going to type in class type colon like that. And that is exactly the same thing. So there are many ways you can do this with the dynamic field or with the text editor. I don't mind getting rid of the text editor and just using the dynamic field like that. It works perfectly fine for me. You're not losing anything. I am going to get rid of the button though. So we've got calm cardio, class type, cardio, which is kind of obvious given the title. Let's add in some more fields. We're going to go to the second dynamic field, and this time I'm going to pick occurrence. And that will now bring back the word every day, 9 a.m. and 13, not 13. In fact, that should say 13 p.m. So I've missed out the p.m. there, my mistake, but we'll let that one go. I'm now going to go over to the style, and I'm going to change the typography for this. I'm actually going to make it be a little bit thinner so it doesn't all have to be in bold. And I'm going to shrink it down in size as well. I'll just copy that, paste the style over there, paste the style there. We'll change the wording as well. Again, this is really quick and easy to do. We go down to field format. I've got occurrence. Now let's do the third one. And this time we'll put the cost in. I'm going to say cost per hour. And then I'm going to pop in the $ like that. I'm going to pick level. And this is the beauty about having all these meta fields worked out for us. You could, if you want, have used like, remember when we set up the custom post type, if you are watching all the videos, we said do not have the editor, because we're going to set up a meta field for the description. Well, that's perfectly fine. But then you would have had to make sure that when you were pulling back your source, you would have to pull back a post term because your editor sits there. And if you're very controlling over what you're going to allow them to fill in and how you're going to position it, and that's why I strongly recommend add your description field in as a meta field. Otherwise, you have editor and it starts to get a little bit disjointed. And don't forget, you could have multiple description fields. Description 1, description 2, description 3. And if you break them up into separate fields, it means you can position them however you want. Whereas when you use a WordPress editor, it's all locked into one singular block. So it's a lot of text, it's a very big block. Now let's just rearrange these items a little bit. So let's go and put the level to be underneath the cardio. Whoops, wrong place, over there. So we've got cardio, beginner, occurrence every day, and we'll go for costs like that. It's a little bit disjointed because we've got a bit of a staggered effect there, but I'll let it go. I'm then going to go over to my hero. Everything is currently set as a gap as a 20, and we're now going to just drop that down to be more like a 10, I think works a little bit better. Let's continue and now add in further details below, but this is going to be a parent container with 2 child containers. My parent container will be a 1140. By force of habit, I just sometimes like to add it in. I'm going to zero out the margin and padding. And then into my two child containers that I have here at the moment, I'm going to ensure that they are both on full width, but they are 50%, zero out. And I'm just going to copy that and paste that over there. In fact, I'm going to go and get rid of the gaps as well, just so that everything is very, very consistent and I have full on control over what we're doing. So parent container and two child containers inside and everything is zeroed out. Let's now drop in extra details. So you know what? I'm going to go and pick this field up here. I'm going to drop it in. You can't see it because it is a white font. Okay, no problem. Let's just go and stylize it and give it a bit of text. I am also going to drop down the weight of it, because I think 500 works okay here, but not so much later on. And if you were to go with light, you could get away with that as well. It very much depends on the font family. Sometimes light can be way too thin, so have a look and judge it for what's going to work for you, your business, and your client. Right, let's go down to the content. Metadata. Well, I've already mentioned description, so let's go and bring it in. And you can see what it's done. Now, it does say cost per hour, and we do have the $sign. Don't forget, you know why it's doing that, right? Because we've got cost per hour $sign here with the field format. Just get rid of it. And now we've brought forward our text. Now, can you see what I meant about a lot of text? If you have too much text, this is where I would recommend you have like description 1 and a description 2. Because then description 1 would have been maybe the first 3 paragraphs. And then the second 2, which may be a few more details, you could have put maybe over here in child container number 2. Or maybe you could have had an image in between, breaking it up. One of the tricks with blogs and articles is don't have too much text, okay? Otherwise, it just starts to feel like a dissertation. So break it up with a bit of imagery, but we're going to let this one go for now. What I will do is go to the child container that contains this. I'll go to my advanced tab and I'm going to say, give me 30 padding on the right, just to break it up a little bit. Now into child container 2, we're going to go and drop in some images. And I'm going to show you multiple ways that you can do this. So the standard way to do it is you might go over and type in gallery. And of course you got the basic gallery or you got the gallery using the elemental widget. I'm going to drop that in over here for now. And I'm going to say that my images using the dynamic tag is going to come from the JetEngine gallery. So I go and hit JetEngine gallery, click the spanner or wrench, and now I've got to pick my field, which was the gallery, of course. And those images will now appear. You may decide that you want to have one column, multiple columns, or however you want to arrange it. But can you notice the quality is not looking so good at the moment? Let's go and set the image size to be full. That's looking so much better. And I'm going to set the aspect ratio to be a 1:1. Basically, you know, because we have the square layout coming in like that. Now that works okay. But what if you're not using the elemental gallery widget? Because you have lots of settings here for how you want to do it. You know, grid, justified, masonry. Maybe you've got a mixture of vertical, portrait, square images. I'm going to show you another way to do this. And this is now utilizing what you get with JetEngine. I'm going to intentionally copy over this description and I'm going to paste it in over here. I'm also going to go to my child container number 2 and I'm going to ensure that I've got 30 padding on the left, just so that we have a bit of space. In fact, I'm going to change my mind and I'm going to go with a 50. And I'm just going to do the same over there as well, just so we have a bit more breathing space with the way the layout is. Now into this description, we, believe it or not, we do have gallery. So what do you think is going to happen when I click it? You're right, the IDs return because we're using media ID and that means absolutely nothing to anyone and nothing is nothing, or something is nothing, anything. Philosophical, psychological question for you to ponder. What you need to do is change the callback because the callback at the moment is just pulling back checkbox field values. If you scroll down and you see get image by ID, you might go, ah, there it is. You click that and this is what you'll get. One image, but where's the gallery? And if you were eagle-eyed, you would have spotted it was down here. Images, gallery, grid. We're going to click that and you will now get basically almost like what we had before. The slight difference is that the elemental ones did have an overlay on there when you hovered over it. And if you don't want to have that, you just got to go to your settings for your gallery and make sure that when you move your mouse over, you don't get that little bit of a overlay on top. I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, make this be one image after one another like that. Now, don't get me wrong. That is quite big, as it was when we did it with the Elementor gallery as well. Let's go to our parent container. Let's go and add in some padding. I'm going to go with 60 from the top and bottom. And then I'm going to go to my child container number 1, and I'm going to increase the width. And obviously, as you do that, you can see what's happening to the images. I'm going to go to about 72%, and then we have smaller images there. Again, like I said, if the images start to become too small, the lightbox may work out for you. We do have a lot of empty gap over here, but I'm not overly worried about that. I've actually remembered there was another field I did want to add into here. I'm just going to quickly hit duplicate. I'm going to go to cost, and I'm going to pick session type. So group, online, or venue, because I think that's quite important. In fact, we'll just move that field up as well. There we go. That's looking much better. Now down here into child container 1, I'm going to go and grab the image widget from Elementor and just drop that in. I'm going to set this to be a full, and I'm going to pick my trainer image. So I'm going to scroll down until I get to custom image, and then I will select trainer image. If you pick post thumbnail, that's going to return basically your post thumbnail, which is the image we've got up there already. But if you did want to bring it through, you could have used a dynamic field and then just pick the relevant image by ID or whatever you got. Or you could be very specific and pick it, and then you could position it to be where you want it to be on your page. And I'm going to go with 270 for my maximum and width. And I'm also going to set my height to be 270 as well. And I'm ensure it is a cover, because that is roughly, if I've got my calculations right, not too far off the size that we have over here. Let's go and drop in a header just to be sat above the image. Let's just call it trainer. I'm going to go back up and pick up this divider line that we've already got in the hero banner. I'm going to drop that in over here. And don't worry, we are going to space things out in a moment. And then I'm going to go and drop in a container as well. And this container is actually going to sit after the image like that. And again, don't worry, we are going to sort all of this out. I'm now going to have this container sit beside the image over here. So I'm going to go to my child container number 1, and I'm going to set this to be a row. Obviously, everything now goes a little bit funny. I'm then going to hit wrap. So now everything wraps. But now you have to ensure that this container over here, this child container, is going to fit here. And I'm now going to shrink the size down until I get to about 60% like that. And I think that's looking pretty reasonable there. I'm going to zero out everything in my margin and padding, but I'm going to say give me about 30 on the left. And inside of here now, I'm going to go and drop him some more dynamic fields. So I'm going to copy that dynamic field from the hero banner, and I'm going to drop it into here. Just make sure it's got the right color text, which it has now. So now let me change the content. This is using the occurrence one at the moment. Let's go and pick trainer, and the trainer name will now come in. But now let's make it a little bit more intelligent. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to type in a trainer name. But I want it to be in bold. Well, that's okay as well. Let's just go and put in B over there and then close it off. So now we have the trainer name in bold. And now let's go and duplicate that. And let's go and pick the email field. If we had another field now, which was a trainer description, which we did not add into the meta field, but you know, I'm telling you now, you could have done that. You could have dropped that in as well. So a short paragraph about who Summer Tilton is, what is her experience, what is her qualifications, how long has she been doing this, does she do any other classes? Let's now just sort out how this looks, because at 40 there, we'll go to our divider line, add in a bit of breathing space. I'm going to go with a 10 and a 10. We got our image, and if I now just show you how that would look, if you imagine you had more images on there going down the side, and maybe you had a column of 2, and by the way, this is this hero banner is a fixed background, so you get that parallax effect going on like that. We get some details, you get your description, and then you obviously got more. Now, the important step, though, is that as you're building this, you may go and hit update at any time, and it's going to say, well, where do you want to display this? You can, if you want, hit save and close, which is below me right now. You could do that. You can do that. It's okay. And at any time you come back in and you make a change, and if I just go over here and then you hit update again, it will allow you again to go back over here to add your condition. This is really important. If, however, you again hit save and close and you come back in and the update is not visible for you as in pink, and you keep, like, look right now, if I go and hit pink and I hit save and close and I try clicking it, it doesn't let me back in. It's okay. You have the save option chevron here. You click that and you go to display conditions. That's how simple and easy it is. The most important thing though is, where does this single post template kick in? You have to tell it that it's got to go to the sessions. Otherwise, it might apply it to your standard posts. Even then, it won't do it properly. So what you want to do is click the drop down and scroll down until you get to sessions. That is your custom post type. And we're going to leave it as all, because I'm not now going to say this is for extreme weights, this is for cardio, calm or calm cardio. I'm just going to have a single post template for all of them. And then I'm going to hit save and close. Now when we click on extreme weights, you can see we can see more of the image. The wording looks okay. We're getting all the images down the side. And the class trainer, Ryan Singh, and we get his email. Okay, now let's go and test out another image where it's a lot more lighter. What about uplift energy? Because, you know, look, can you see the overlay kicking in? These images, by the way, were only 1000 pixel by 1000. So you can see they're not the sharpest. So make sure that if you do add in some images that you know you're going to use as your background featured image, you know, and it's going to be like full width, make sure you go for something like a 1920 by 1920 or 1920 by 1080. It really does make a big difference into the quality and the pixelation of the images. But again, look, you get the details, class trainer. And the very final one, let's go to dance obics as well. Again, here's where the images you use can make or break the look you're going for. So in this scenario, it might have been better to just have an image over here on the side or just below, or just have a little portrait landscape image, or even a square one. But have a very good think about the images you bring through. I can get away with it for this tutorial because I just went and grabbed stock photography images. But when you're building out a site and you're working with a client and they give you very specific images and they want a specific look, you got to kind of sometimes have that conversation about the suitability of the image to the style of what you're producing. But you can see here again, everything is working through, and the very final one we'll go to is spin cycling. We can see him, but we're getting more of the upper part of the room rather than the person of interest below who's actually doing the weights. Someone might even think that's their arm, like they got many arms in there. But again, the details are all coming through. So you can see how we got our archive almost built out now. And remember, you could use this loop grid on any other page you want to do. I'm only showing 2 loop grids, 2 and 3. You could have one loop grid that shows 9, 20 posts. You could have pagination. There's lots of settings for you to play with. But the key bit is that when you do all of that, you now need to ensure that when they click on it, it actually takes them somewhere. And maybe I've not really stressed just how much of this post is built up by dynamic fields, meta fields. In fact, the only field that's coming through that was your standard classic WordPress post is the title. Everything else is a meta field that's coming in. Now, there was something that I forgot to do, and it was using the location, but I'm going to make it be a little bit clever, so stay with me on this. We're going to drop in another container into child container number 1. So I'm going to ensure I'm on child container 1, and I'm now going to go and click container. So that container will now sit down there. I'm then going to pick up this heading, and I'm going to drop it into child container, well, grandchild container 1, which is in child container 1, or grandchild container 2 even. Let's just change the wording of this to be location. I'm also going to pick up the divider, and we might as well pop that in. In fact, I picked up the wrong field there. Let me pick that up and drop it in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pop into here the map. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to type in maps. We get Google Maps, and I'm going to drop that in as well. We got Google Maps, okay? Now, this is only going to pull back the location meta field that we added in. But remember, that was only visible if you had a venue. If you've watched the other videos, that will make total sense. We go over here to where we have dynamic tag. We scroll down until we get to JetEngine custom field. And then I'm going to select location. And that should now bring back Anfield, because that's what I bought, Liverpool Stadium. And I'm now just going to set the zoom of it to be something like that. We'll go for about 15. In fact, I could increase the height as well. We'll go with about 400 in height, just so you can see the location. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go and copy over that dynamic field again. And I'm going to drop it in over here. But rather than have the description, again, we will just pop in the location like that. And then we'll go and add in a little bit of gap from the top. We'll just go with about a 10. So you can see what we have at the moment. But the problem is we don't want that to be visible everywhere. So let me show you the first problem you're going to get. Let's hit update. When I go to Calm Cardio, we know there is a venue because we've already just kind of tested it out. There's the venue. But there wasn't one for spin cycling. This was just online. So look, when you click it, it says one-to-one group online. So when you scroll down, you get the word location still appear. The map is not visible because there's nothing to enter into there, but we still have the title. That looks totally wrong, right? Let's go and sort that out. And this is a really easy trick for you to do. Let's go all the way back to our post type. We're going to go to sessions, and this is a neat little trick, okay? We're going to go to meta field. I'm going to drop in a new meta field, and I'm just going to call this location, and I'm going to get rid of the question mark there as well because we don't want that to appear. Object type is going to be a field, and it's going to be a checkbox. And the items of this checkbox will be yes, and then a new value, no. And we'll just pop that in as well. And I'm going to say that it defaults to no. So you have to actively go and pop this as a yes. And then I'm going to pick this up and I'm actually going to pop it below location like that. So after session type in a way. I've realized that this actually should have been a radio, but we still have the option yes or no. So we've moved it to be below location and it's now a radio. Update the post type. Now we go to sessions and we're going to go to Calm Cardio because we know that's got a venue. So over here, it says location and it says location complete. You would go and set that to be a yes because it is now complete. Let's go and hit update. But now let's go back a step and let's go to the other one, which was spin cycling. Spin cycling, because there is no venue, it automatically defaults to no, okay? And that is quite important. So you only hit it yes when you know you've added in a venue. Now, if we go back over to our single post template, this child container is going to show regardless, but we don't want that to happen. We're going to go to the Advanced tab, and over here where it says CSS class, I'm going to hit the dynamic tag. I'm going to scroll down to JetEngine custom field, location complete. There you go. But it's still going to show. So here's the really clever bit, right? I then go to custom CSS and I'm going to say if it is no, .no, because the class name will always say no unless you hit yes. So .no, curly bracket, display, colon, none, like that. And then close the curly bracket. That will now not display that entire container. We go to Calm Cardio. We go to the page. The location is there. Let's go back. Let's go to spin cycling. And when you scroll down, it's not there. Look, the location is missing. If you don't believe me, I'll go back again and go to Calm Cardio. Look, you scroll down, it is there. You go back, you go to spin cycling, it is not there. So if you want to show a map, but not everything's got a map, that's a really clever way of how you can hide it by just adding in another meta field to control the class name with a really easy bit of code. Right, .no, display none. I'm quite proud of that little tip.